Hi, my name is Tracy Hebert. I'm a watercolor artist, and upon completion of this painting, when posting it on a couple of groups on Facebook, it was requested that I show a demo of how I do water. This is a sped up video because it's a couple of hours of regular time video. If you want to slow it down, you can go to the top 3 dots on your YouTube app, right on the video, and there's a drop down list at the bottom. It says playback speed, and if you click on that, there's different things that you can do to slow this speed down or to speed it up even more than the speed that I have. The colors that I used on this painting, I always use variations of reds, yellows, and blues, and mix the rest of my colors from there. It's Winsor Newton Permanent Rose, Winsor Yellow, which is from Winsor Newton, of course, Quinacridone Gold by Daniel Smith, and then 3 Da Vinci colors, which are Paul Jackson's line that Da Vinci Watercolors puts out, Bora Bora Turquoise, Ocean, and Jackson's Blue. I like these 3 colors in water, and most of the time when I paint water, these are my go-to colors. The colors are sometimes mixed on the palette and sometimes mixed on the paper. Some areas are layered, as in one color, and then I allow it to dry, and then I layer or glaze on the next color in the areas that I want it. Like the area right behind her hair with the yellow in the middle. I put the yellow first and then I dropped in other color. Something like that. After the that was dry, then I came over it all wet and added the dark blue to create that glowing effect in that part of that wave. My paper is always stretched for no buckling or valleys and hills on the wet paper. Therefore, when I put the watercolor down, it doesn't sink into spots that I don't want it to sink into with gravity. Also, this helps me to not have anything to do when I'm finished with the painting in order to straighten it out. It lays flat under a mat. A lot of people flatten their painting afterwards. I find that it does not get as flat as stretching. I stretch it, I attach it to a gator board with moist gummed tape. I let that dry, and then I cover it with waterproof art tape. I prefer white so that my eye for color is not hindered by any other colors. And then I pull that tape off, pull the painting off when it's completely dry, and I have no problems after that. The water portion that I'm working on in this video, well, the water in the entire video, the paper was saturated either in the area that I was working in. Sometimes I would saturate the entire water area before each session to let that water soak into the paper, and then I could re-wet the paper and it would stay wetter for longer because the core of the paper, the more you wet it, it starts getting damper and damper and damper, and it stays wetter longer. All of the water application is wet on wet, meaning wet paper, wet brush, or damp on damp, meaning the shine is going off of the paper and I don't have a ton of water on my brush. If I want to pick up a real light color, then I'll pick up that wet watery color, but I'll tap it on a paper towel or a sponge or a rag, depending on how much water I want to get off of the brush, And it's mostly all about water control. Even if the paper and the brush are wet, you can make that paint stay where you want it to stay, but have soft edges. And that's how I prefer to paint. I find there are very few hard edges in water and a lot of watercolor. So that's how I do that. When I began, I layered on the figure first, but I did a wash of the ocean, the color ocean, in the background. And I faded it to nothing around the figure because that's where I wanted my greater area of contrast. And I did that more than once throughout the painting, because when you put that first layer on the white paper, it looks like a lot, but then it dries very light. And I ended up having to do it a couple of times to get it to the vibrancy that I wanted in the background. The waves are more detailed in the foreground and around the figure, and then they get smaller and have less detail in the background. I hope this helps you. If you want to look me up or look up my artwork, I have an art page on Facebook, Tracy Hebert Artist. You can follow that. I usually put a lot of work in progress information on that page and not on my regular Facebook page. I also have an Instagram. The Facebook is Tracy Hebert Artist. My Instagram is Tracy Hebert's Art. And I also have a website, TracyHebertArt.com. I appreciate you watching. Give me a like and a follow, and if there's a lot of interest in this, I can post more videos. Thanks so much. Enjoy.